Good morning students, we are going to study chemistry for class 8 and this is video number 6 for the third chapter, elements, compounds and mixtures, and the topic for today is separation of liquid-liquid mixtures. In the last videos we had seen how to separate solid-liquid mixtures, and today we are going to discuss how to separate the constituents of liquid-liquid mixtures. But before that we should understand how many types of liquid-liquid mixtures are there. There are two types of liquid-liquid mixtures. One is miscible liquids and the second one is immiscible liquids. Miscible liquids, as the name suggests, the constituents in the miscible liquids, they are miscible. That means they can be mixed into each other thoroughly. Okay, and that means they will be mixed properly and we cannot see the separate layers of the different liquids. The example we can take here is alcohol and water. If you add water to alcohol, they will be mixed thoroughly. You won't see the separate layers of alcohol and water. One more example can be milk and water. If you mix them, then they will form a homogeneous mixture. So in miscible liquids, they are homogeneous mixtures of two liquids. The second one is immiscible liquids. Immiscible liquids, they are not mixed properly or mixed thoroughly. In fact, they form different layers of the two liquids. Suppose if we take oil and water, how much you try to dissolve that oil in water, it won't dissolve because oil is lighter than water. It will remain floating above the water. Water will be below and the oil will be above that. So it forms a heterogeneous mixture of immiscible liquids. The first topic, the main one, is how to separate the constituents of miscible liquids. Okay, the first one is separation of miscible liquids, and the method we follow is fractional distillation. You have already studied distillation. That means in that we used to boil the mixture. Here also in fractional distillation we are going to boil the mixture. Here it is a liquid-liquid mixture, but the technique or the principle is little different. Let us see the principle. Principle says it works on the basis of the difference in the boiling points of the liquids. That means here what liquids we are going to take, they should have a difference, a vast difference in their boiling points. At least I tell you, the two liquids present in that miscible solution should have a difference of 30 degrees Celsius in their boiling points. Okay, let us take the same example of alcohol and water. If we mix alcohol and water and afterwards if we want to separate the constituents, we will boil it, we will heat it. Then what will happen? Alcohol will form its vapors first. Okay, alcohol will form its vapors first because it has a lower boiling point. Then we can trap those vapors of alcohol and we can condense them. The same in distillation also we used to trap the vapors, and in that condenser they get a cool surface area where they get condensed, and that liquid we can collect in a beaker. Then at the end what will be left? Water will be left at the end. And that is the technique for fractional distillation. So we understood that it works on the basis of the difference in the boiling points, and that difference should be at least of 30 degrees. Okay. And if suppose if there is a miscible liquid in which the difference in the boiling point is less than 30 degrees, then this method is not applicable, because when we heat it, both the liquids will form its vapors and we won't be able to collect the vapors individually. So it is applicable only when the difference is above 30 degrees. Okay, the example here we see is the constituents of crude petroleum such as petrol, diesel and kerosene are separated by fractional distillation. We get crude petroleum from the earth. Deep inside the earth it is there. We will pump it out or dig it out. Then that petroleum, it consists of so many useful things. It consists of petrol, kerosene, diesel. All these things are there, and the good point is they are miscible and they have difference in their boiling points. The difference is vast. So we can do what? We can heat that crude petroleum. When we heat it, then first one constituent will form its vapors. Suppose if we take petrol form its vapors, we will collect petrol and keep it in separately in one beaker. Then when we increase the temperature, we will see kerosene will form its vapors, then we can collect those vapors and keep it in another beaker. Then diesel will form its vapors and then we can collect it and keep it in different beaker. So we see, because of the difference in the boiling points, we can collect or separate the different constituents of crude petrol mixture. Next topic is separation of immiscible liquids. Separation of immiscible liquids, and in this case we are going to use a separating funnel. Okay, what is the principle of using separating funnel? That the two liquids should be immiscible and one should be heavy and one should be light. You know, logically the heavier liquid will form a layer below and the lighter liquid will form a layer above. We will let them to stand, we will leave that liquids, that mixture we will leave, and we can see the two layers. Then slowly we will take the lower liquid out and let the lighter liquid remain in that separating funnel only. Here I have drawn the diagram of the separating funnel. It is there in your book as well, so you can see it. So this is a separating funnel. It is supported by a tripod stand. You see here the legs are there. Then this separating funnel has got a stopper here. That stopper is just like a tap. If we turn it, then the liquid flows down. When we stop it, then the liquid also stops. And there is the beaker below. Okay, here I have taken kerosene and water mixture is there. It is an immiscible mixture. You know, kerosene and water will not mix with each other. They will form separate layers. So we will pour that mixture in this separating funnel. They will form two layers. The layer below will be of water and the layer above will be of kerosene. So we will let them stand, and after, when we see the clear layers are formed, we will just open this stopper. When we turn the stopper, we will see water will flow down. Drop by drop it will get collected in this beaker, and we will wait till all the water has gone down. And when we see the last drop of water comes down, we will turn this stopper, and only in this separating funnel what will remain? Only kerosene will be remaining here. All the liquid must have flowed down. And the examples here are, it means what are the examples of immiscible liquids? Like we can separate kerosene and water, or we may separate petrol and water. We can also separate carbon tetrachloride and water. We have completed all the techniques of separation of the constituents of mixture, whether it is solid-solid mixture or liquid-liquid mixture or solid-liquid mixture. We have studied all the techniques now. Now we are going to see one activity, activity number 1, that is given in your book, and the aim of this one, to separate calcium carbonate powder mixed with common salt. That means we have to separate calcium carbonate and common salt. Let me tell you something first about calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is a white solid, okay, and when it is powdered, it looks like just like the common salt. I hope common salt everybody must have seen. It is white in color and also fine grains are there, powder like it is. Okay, and the same way when we see calcium carbonate, we can see its powder also looks just like that of common salt. Now when we see solid-solid mixture, it is, we have studied 5 techniques for the separation of solid-solid mixtures, and they are hand picking, sieving, winnowing, magnetic separation and sublimation. So we can think of one possible technique. So first let us think hand picking. Is it possible? I told you they look alike. When they are mixed, it is very difficult to differentiate them. So can you think that you can pick out calcium carbonate from that calcium carbonate and common salt mixture? No, it is not possible. It is not possible. Neither we can take out calcium carbonate nor we can take out common salt from it. So that first one is gone. That option is not there. Then winnowing. Winnowing is possible when means one of the constituent has different weight. That means the constituents in that have different weight. One will be blown by wind and the other one should not be. Here when we see the case, that is also not possible. Both have got almost equal weight. So winnowing also cannot be applied. Then we can think of sieving. Is sieving possible? I told you we have taken calcium carbonate powder. So when we see calcium carbonate powder, it looks like, that means the grain size is almost like that of common salt. So So it is not possible to take it out from the sieve. A possible sieve is not there to separate calcium carbonate and common salt. So that is also not there. Then the last one is magnetic separation. Do you think any of the constituent has magnetic properties or can be attracted by a magnet? No, that is not the case. Then the last, sublimation. Do you think calcium carbonate sublimes or common salt sublimes? No. So we see all the techniques for solid-solid mixture separation, they are not applied here. Then we have to think differently. Okay, for this, for the separation of common salt and calcium carbonate, first we can dissolve the contents of the mixture in water, because we know one is soluble in water and the other one is not. See, we will follow this technique only when all the solid-solid mixture, all the techniques when they fail. And here we see neither is applicable. So we can dissolve this mixture of common salt and calcium carbonate in water. We know common salt dissolves in water but calcium carbonate does not. Okay, then we will see that calcium carbonate will go and form a solution, but common salt will dissolve and form a solution, but calcium carbonate will settle down at the base. Okay, and this we can separate the common salt and calcium carbonate with the help of filtration. So the main technique that we are going to follow, the first step of the separation is filtration. So here you see the diagram. We have taken the beaker, that is mixture of calcium carbonate and water. Why we have written only calcium carbonate and water in this water? Common salt is mixed. Salt gets mixed in this one. Okay, and calcium carbonate is there at the bottom. It is there in the form of solid. Okay, and we have to filter it. For filtration, this is the whole setup. We have taken a glass funnel here. Then at the end of the funnel we have placed a beaker, and in this glass funnel we have placed a cone shaped filter paper. We have to take a filter paper and make it in the form of cone. That we can do by folding it in the form of a quarter. First to make it half, then one more fold you do, then when you open that you will get a cone. That cone we can fix here with the help of few drops of water. You place this cone and on the sides you add only few drops of water, then this filter paper cone will stick on this glass funnel. Okay, and at the end we have kept this beaker. All this is supported by this stand. Alright, then we have to take this mixture of calcium carbonate and water, and slowly we have to put this mixture in this funnel that is fitted with the filter paper. Okay, and slowly means, when I say slowly, that means you have to take a glass rod here. A glass rod, you think it is a rod that is made up of glass, and also it has got a particular, it is bent in the shape. Okay, so slowly that liquid can come out, drop by drop it comes out and it falls here. And you know that common salt solution, that means common salt and water, they can pass through the filter paper. Slowly they will come down at the bottom, and what remains here, remaining part here will be calcium carbonate. And you have studied in filtration, what remains above is called residue and what comes out is called filtrate. So common salt solution is called filtrate, and what is left? Calcium carbonate, that is the residue. So now we see from the among the two constituents, we have taken one constituent out. That means we have taken now calcium carbonate out. We can take this filter paper and we can dry it. On drying we can get pure calcium carbonate here. But still we have not got the common salt. Now what to do? We can follow the second technique. You know how to separate common salt from water. We have to follow evaporation. We will take this common salt solution here and we will evaporate it. We will heat it. Water will go in the form of vapors, and what will be left at the end is common salt. So we see, for the separation of common salt and calcium carbonate, we have to follow two methods. The first is filtration, and then we have to do evaporation. It is not the case, means it is not similar like other solids where only one step is possible. So here when we see, when solid-solid mixture separation techniques, when they fail, then we have to use other techniques. That means we can convert one of the solids into liquids by dissolving in a proper solvent. And here the solvent that we have taken here is water. Now the next activity is separation of common salt and water. Actually this one is a continuation of the last activity. We had seen at the end we got a common salt solution, and we are going to see the setup. We are going to see what are the materials required for the separation of common salt and water, and the method, you know, you are very clear with it, that is evaporation. So we will see the aim to obtain common salt dissolved in water. So this is the setup. It consists of an evaporating dish. Evaporating dish is also known as China dish. This evaporating dish is kept on a wire gauze. Okay, wire gauze, if you remember, it is a wire mesh, okay, that is used to support the vessel for heating, which is used, and it is this wire gauze is kept on a tripod stand. You can see here the tripod stand, and for heating we have to use Bunsen burner. This is the burner, this is the supply of that, and here is the lid, that one that is used for opening means to allow the gas supply. Okay, so this one is for that the gas supply, and this is the Bunsen burner. This is the complete setup. So we will do what? We will first switch on the supply, and we will light a matchstick and put here near the mouth of the Bunsen burner. It will light up, it will glow, and we can see this solution of common salt and water. It boils. When it boils, we can see when it reaches the temperature of 100 degrees Celsius, the vapor of water will be formed, and we have to wait till complete water is evaporated, and at the end we can see common salt here. Okay, at the end common salt will be left in the evaporating dish. So we see now we have completed that first activity only. It was for the separation of common salt and calcium carbonate. The first step we had seen in activity 1, and the step 2 evaporation is this one. Okay students, we have studied all the techniques of separation. Now there is one more technique, that is the latest one, and the name of that is chromatography. Okay, chromatography is the latest technique, and it is used for the separation of complex mixtures. Like if we have to separate colored dyes from ink, then we have to use chromatography. Okay, the different types of, there are 4 different types of chromatography, and they are paper chromatography, column chromatography, thin layer chromatography, and gas chromatography. The principle for chromatography is, in chromatography, substances are separated as they travel in mobile phase that pass through the stationary phase. Different substances travel with different speed in a given time. Okay, let us understand the principle. It says, in this one, the substances will travel in the mobile phase. That means they are going to move in the mobile. Mobile actually means what? Something that moves. So substances will travel in the mobile phase, and through something they have to travel. They will be traveling along the stationary phase. Stationary means something that is stationary, something that is not moving. So one will be stationary phase, the stopped one that is not moving. Our substances will be moving through the mobile phase. And the point to note here is, different substances travel with different speed. They will travel with different speed, so they will be stopped at different points in a given time. Okay, so let us take the example of paper chromatography and understand the principle. Here I have taken the setup of paper chromatography. This is a piece of paper that is cut in the form of a rectangle. Here we have to draw one line, that is called the baseline. If you can see, I have drawn this line, and it is dipped in a solution of a solvent. Okay, here a beaker is there, and this one will be dipped in the solvent. And up to what level will it be dipped? It will be dipped up to the level of the baseline. Up to here it will be dipped. Then we will add just one drop of the colored ink. Suppose if that colored ink is made up of different colors, it is made up of red, blue, yellow, green. So only one drop we are going to take of that colored ink, and that drop we are going to place here at the baseline. Okay, already it was hanging, this paper was hanging in the solvent. We have taken one drop and placed at the baseline. We will see the solvent, it will try to rise up. And which solvent are we going to use? That is also important. We will use such a solvent that dissolves the ink, the components of ink, different colors. Only that kind of solvent we will use. We see with time, this solvent will try to move up in this paper. It will go up, and with it, the different colors also will move up. But I told you, different colors, they travel with different speed. The one that is, means the one who travels the fastest will go the farthest. So here we will get one color, then next color here, then the one that is the slow colors, they won't be traveling much and they will reach only this point and this point. So we see from the ink we have separated the different colors. Okay, so that was the technique. And here what is the mobile phase and what is the stationary phase? If you think carefully, you will understand this paper is the stationary phase, because paper is not moving anywhere. Paper is there where it is. Only what is moving, the liquid is moving. So the mobile phase is the solvent. Okay, in paper chromatography, paper is the stationary phase and the solvent is the mobile phase. Along with the solvent, the color dyes, the different inks, they travel and they are going to travel at different speed. Alright. So that's all for today's topics. And with this we have completed chapter number 3. You can continue writing the short answers, the last one is left, and also you can write the long answers. You can try writing that think and answer also, that is homework for you. Think and answer, 4-5 questions are there. Write the questions and try to find their answers. And you can learn as well. Thank you.